hold on. I got one more story for you
No
guys.
way.
Yeah, I got one more story. Okay, so there's this 93-year-old woman, right? You guys are familiar with the knockout game?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, knockout game. And
Racist. Why are you talking about it?
these young hooligans knock out this 93-year-old woman. But she doesn't actually pass out. She punch her, right?
93 years old?
Yep,
Did
yep.
they realize they could have killed her?
She pulls out a gun, shoots one of them,
Good.
and he dies.
Yes.
Good.
Okay?
Hooray, old lady.
You guys like that story?
Yeah.
Do like that story.
Yeah, it's fake.
What?
It's a fake story. You know, this is really, it's pissing me off, okay? Now, I understand there's sites like The Onion, which are satire,
right.
and you can tell, like, it's funny. But there are, and this was like a hoax, right? A hoax story that got spread around
Right.
because it sounds like, oh, yeah, good for the old lady. Yeah, woo. I read another story about Sarah Palin around Thanksgiving time
I remember this.
saying something about how, Native Americans can't celebrate Thanksgiving or it's a white people's holiday or something ridiculous, right?
Right. It was being circulated on Facebook.
Yeah, I saw this on Facebook, and people are sharing this like, oh, yeah, she would say that. Oh. And I look it up, and I'm like, this sounds so phony baloney.
Right.
Sure enough, yeah, it's a fake news site, one of these sites that looks like the real news, but they just lie, and that's a joke.
Isn't their tagline at the top in big letters like almost reliable news?
Some it depends. Some sites do have disclaimers that are pretty obvious. Like when you look at the way the article is written, like The Onion does a really good job. Their stuff is actually funny because it's based on reality, but in a just absurd way. There's other sites, however, that just straight up lie to you, like the story I just told you about the 93-year-old woman, where you're like, okay, that sounds like a real story. That's not funny. Like, why?
Yeah, that's awful.
Why are people sharing this? It's not
So
valuable.
is it a
at
way
all.
to like encourage these kids not to do it? Because from what I understood, there has been circumstances where people have fought back.
I mean,
Like
I would fight
actual
back.
news stories where people have fought back.
Mm-hmm.
Where people were like in groups, and when somebody knocked them out, they were able to fight back or whatever. There's a reason why I don't think it's prevalent that kids are playing the knockout game in Arizona. Why do you think that reason is, Jeremy?
We don't have concealed weapons permits. An Arizona driver's license acts the same as a concealed weapons permit.
Right. Basically, Arizona has more concealed carry people than any other state, I believe, per capita. We do have the most
That
open.
sounds good.
We do have the most.
That sounds true.
We have the most
must
open
be.
gun laws, correct? We have more freedom in regards to gun laws than Texas.
We do. That much I know for sure. For a while, Texas didn't even have concealed carry permits.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't. Yeah, I would say we probably have we definitely have the loosest gun laws that I know about. I don't know about any other state that has more firearms freedom than we do.
Yeah. So that's the thing is, when people have the right and responsibility to protect themselves, somehow people second guess the opportunity to take advantage of somebody else. Like, you think about it. When you know that there's a highly good possibility that somebody you're about to attack has a firearm, just because of the culture of the place you live, as a criminal, you're going to really question whether or not you want to go punch that person in the side of the head, you know?
I could
I'm just
punch
saying.
him, and then I could die. I might take that risk.
Take that risk. Yeah, it's pretty amazing, how our culture has gotten to the point where it's cool for some subcultures to punch somebody in the side of the face in hopes to knock them out in one punch and run away.
It's whatever.
It's whatever.
It's just kids being dumb. Like, thank
It's
goodness.
beyond that, though. Kids being dumb
Yeah.
is like throwing eggs at a neighbor's house. Kids being dumb is ding-dong ditching people.
No,
or
but
TPing.
it's kids
That's
being dumb
Kids being dumb.
in terms of escalation. Like, what are other people doing? I'm going to do something ridiculous, and I'm going to be the cool guy because that's what kids think is cool.
Is the knockout game dumber than throwing citrus fruit at somebody from a moving vehicle?
I got hit by a piece of citrus while walking. It was
How long
awful.
ago was that?
That was a thing?
I was 15, maybe.
I officially apologize.
I remember because I got hit, and it like just grazed me. But my buddy got hit with like a huge orange right in the center of his chest, and it actually split his skin. He's wearing like a really loose T-shirt, and the car was doing. We were walking, and the car was doing like 65 miles an hour. So when it hit him, it actually split his skin open.
Owie.
Yeah. So you're a jerk, Jeremy.
I definitely was a jerk as a teenager. I'm just trying to figure out. Every generation thinks that the last generation is worse,
Right.
or that the next generation is worse. I should say. They say, "Oh, these whippersnappers," right?
Right.
But I'm looking at this knockout game and thinking, even as dumb of a teenager as I was, and as big of a jerk as I was, if somebody had said, "Dude, let's go knock out an old guy," or "Let's just go knock out a random person that hasn't done anything wrong to us," I'd be like, "Dude, you're a jerk."
Well, they're clearly, yeah. These kids aren't upstanding moral citizens. I'm not saying they're,
But I'm
they're
saying,
good.
even as a low level, not so moral citizen, as a teenager, I still think that I would have said, "No, that sounds like a really bad idea."
Yeah, I mean,
Right.
I think everyone, if you look back on your life, as a kid, you do stupid things, right? For whatever reason, peer pressure, your own ignorance, whatever it might be. I think these kids don't have anyone in their life telling them like, "Hey, you're a jerk." They just think it's whatever, it's funny.
Is that what your dad told you?
Yeah.
John, you're a jerk.
I
Don't
think-
be a jerk.
I think though, Adam, you're right. The fact that we live in Arizona and that anyone at any time can be carrying a firearm,
Right.
that's a pretty good reason not to play the knockout game.
And many
Right.
do.
So I'm looking at a list of like the most background checks in 2012 per state,
Uh-huh.
and Arizona's not high on this list. It's like 41st, but it makes me wonder.
Crossroads of the West gun shows.
Well, no, it makes me
We
wonder.
don't have background checks because we're buying at gun shows and we're not doing background checks.
Well, I think there's a lot of suspicion for federal government tracking in Arizona, but I also think that Arizona has a lot of guns, like you're saying, already in circulation. People own guns here. Culturally, people have always owned guns in Arizona. Now, there was a time where certain cities banned guns to be carried within city limits, like Tombstone. If you've ever heard of that story, that's in Arizona. They banned carrying a sidearm right in the town. But like they're saying, like Kentucky, Montana per capita, obviously because there's very few people who live there. Virtually nobody. It's like still like
No, we know there's people living in Montana because
Yeah.
there's at least 3 schools with choirs that can't go to a church to sing.
anyway. But no, I think that I think you're right. I think when you have a culture that's very pro self-defense, criminals are gonna start to question whether or not it'd be a good idea to break into somebody's house or to punch them in the side of the head.